Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I thought I'd make this video giving my opinions on how I view this whole situation, with ICE, and and I think it's a good thing. But people really need to learn to differentiate between legal immigrant and illegal immigrant. They're not one and the same, like a lot of people, especially Democrats and libs, want to kind of lump them all together, and that I think is just wrong and stupid. Illegal immigrants have worked hard, they've persevered, they put in a lot of effort to become citizens of this country, to prosper for a better life. And illegal immigrants just want to basically just undo and steal all that hard work. Yeah, I know a lot of people will complain about that they're fleeing an oppressive country and things, but they still could have done it just the way the legal immigrants did, by working hard and going through the proper channels and doing it the right way, because every country on this planet has rules on how you as an individual can become a citizen of that country. Doesn't matter if it's America, UK, Germany, China, Russia. If you want to be a citizen, you got to follow their rules. So, and people can't just think that, oh, just because they can do it here in America, they can do whatever they want, and we're just supposed to just let it happen. No, that's just dumb. It's idiotic. It's stupid. People need to realize that that if you break the rules, you get punished. And for what ICE is doing, I think what they're doing is great. They're getting, especially since they're going after a lot of the violent, the aggressive, the sex criminals, the murderers, the child traffickers, human traffickers. Anyone who's basically committing violence, they're like the number one on their list. So people should be glad that ICE is going after those people. And if some others who are illegal get kind of swept up in all that, well, then that's your own fault for being here, when you weren't supposed to be. And you're just basically harming all the other law-abiding, legal, immigrants that came here, and just insulting all the hard work that they've done to actually become citizens of this country. And for all the people out there, especially with the riots that happened recently, waving the Mexican flags, well, you liked it so much, go back to Mexico. Or whatever country you want to claim that you're from, but yet you don't want to go back there, but yet you're still waving the American flag. It's kind of like redundant. And while, even though with the recent law with the president passing that you're not allowed to burn the American flag anymore, or you get a year in jail, I don't have a problem with that. I'm an American. I was born here, and I think it's just insulting and disrespectful to burn the American flag. I know some people talk about free speech and all that, and I get that. But to me, overall, just as a citizen, I think it's just utterly insulting, degrading, and it just shows that you really have no care or loyalty to this country. So if you're going to burn it, don't do it here in this country. I don't encourage you doing it anywhere, and I don't encourage you to, burn any nation's flag. If you're in another nation, such as Mexico, Russia, China, and you did that to their flag, they would not be very kind to you at all. Not only just the government would come down on you, but the citizens themselves would want to throw a beat down on you. A well-deserved one. And don't think that just because you're in America, you can come here and just do whatever you want. That's just ridiculous. And so I think what ICE is doing is a great thing. And I'm not sure where they're sending everybody. I think we're going to El Salvador. We were planning talking about Sudan. Well, if you look at a map on Google Maps of Sudan, large portion of that country, like half, is just all desert. And you don't want to be just dropped off there in the middle of nowhere where there's hundreds of miles where there's nobody. That'd suck. So if you're here illegally, get out. That's basically the kindest way I could say it. Or there was a thing where I don't know if it's still active, but Trump was offering, where if you could voluntarily turn yourself in, they would willingly fly you back home, you know, or you can, and not arrest you for it, just, I'm not sure if that's still active, but I think if it is, they should be considered a bonus, to encourage people to do that, so, and the people who are here, wanting to, just try to lump all the illegals and immigrants, illegal people together it's just stupid. And I know I'm tending to rambling on here a bit, but people really need to focus on, if you're here in this country legally, you have nothing to worry about really. If you're not, then you should find a way to leave and go back and then just try to come back the legal way. And it may take some time, but it's a lot more worth it in the long run. And your life can actually prosper and better if you're here legally than if you're not. So that's just my opinion on it. I know some people are going to disagree with me, probably a lot more than those that agree, but that's okay. I mean, it's a free country, freedom of speech. And so, see you until the next video.